I call to order the regular meeting of the Lakewood City Council of July 27th, 2015. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Murphy.
Here.
Shakti.
Here.
Kellen.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Wickman. Paul.
Here.
Harrison.
Here.
Wynn.
Here.
Coop.
Here.
Bearway. Roybal.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, and as always, I'd like to welcome everyone for choosing to take part in your local government, either by being here tonight live in chambers, and there are a number of you here. And by the way, I would reiterate Kit's request that you try to find a seat and try to keep the aisles open just for safety and courtesy reasons. There are some seats available, a number of seats throughout the room, so if you can, please try to find a seat. Can you hear me now? All right, please try to find a seat. And I'm welcoming everybody. And we always appreciate it when you choose to take part in your local government, either by coming out to visit us tonight or watching us on Channel 8 or live on our website. A number of you, I'm going to do just one introductory comment about an issue that I know interests a lot of you tonight, and that is the application that was turned in July 8th, I think, for a special use permit for the ICCS correctional facility. The application requesting potentially moving out to a site on 8th Street. And as you'll note when you came in, there is not a public hearing tonight on that matter. Indeed, City Council is actually not the deciding body on that, either the original hearing or on appeal. The status of that application is that it was turned in, I want to say July 8th, Travis, somewhere in there, and planning staff is in the initial stages of evaluating that application. The planning the deciding body is actually the Lakewood Planning Commission because it's a special use permit application. And again, City Council does not hear this case at all. Tentatively, the public hearing is set for September 2nd, and that is the time. It'll be right here in this room, so that's the time and the place that the decision would be made. So just so everybody's, I want to make sure everybody's expectations are on the same level tonight, that there is not a public hearing on that item. It's not even on the agenda, never has been on the agenda. Nevertheless, we welcome everyone to here tonight to voice their opinions. We're going to have some more specific instructions from City Attorney Tim Cox in a moment. So with that, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Will the clerk please read item 4 into the record?
Item 4, recognition, sustainable neighborhoods.
All right, I'm going to invite our planning director, Travis Parker, to the microphone.
Thank you and good evening, Council. It's my honor to be here tonight to present certification for 4 outstanding neighborhoods in Lakewood. Sorry. I want to start by apologizing that it's me here tonight. As you all know, this is Jonathan's program, and I personally know that one of his favorite things to do is to come here and present these certifications, but he was called out of town unexpectedly and unavoidably, so I'm here and happy to be here. Do we have the... Oh, there. As you all know, the Sustainable Neighborhoods Program is a national award-winning program. Last year, we won the first annual award for sustainability from the American Planning Association. And earlier this year, Jonathan and I were asked to come to Seattle to the National Planning Conference to present about the program. We had a lot of interest, over 100 people who came to hear about our program and see if it was right for their community. The basics of the program are this is a community-driven program. It's the residents who come up with the ideas, the residents who host the workshops, create the resources, complete sustainability projects, and the city's role is really one of support and encouragement. Neighborhoods earn credits for their participation in the program and for their accomplishments towards sustainability, and they earn recognition, as we're going to see here tonight. The types of activities that are eligible for credits include workshops, special events, neighborhood resources, neighborhood inventories, and actual implementation of sustainable projects in the neighborhoods. And the goal areas in the Sustainable Neighborhood programs include the basics in sustainability: air, water, land, energy, and people, the social component of sustainability. As you can see, we have 2 levels of certification: participating neighborhoods and outstanding neighborhoods. All 4 of tonight's recognized neighborhoods have achieved outstanding status, which requires 100 credits achieved on the first year and requires an annual 80 credits to maintain that certification. As I mentioned, this is a neighborhood-driven program. Since the neighborhoods are the ones coming up with the ideas and implementing them, it's customized to their needs and interests, and it's a platform for them to demonstrate their skills and put them to work for the betterment of their community. The support of the staff allows these ideas to be successful in a lot of ways, and we provide resources and encouragement, and again, as I said, recognition. And there is a lot of social capital and resiliency in our neighborhoods because of these programs, as we're going to see some examples of tonight. Lakewood currently has 5 neighborhoods participating in the program: Iber, South of 6, Belmar, Lake Lockwood Village, and Southern Gables. And in 4 years, those 5 neighborhoods have completed over 175 projects. Over 50 organizations have partnered with our neighborhoods, and we've had over 4,500 people participate in these programs in these particular neighborhoods. One of the stats that Jonathan and I presented in Seattle, we were looking for ways to express the benefits of the program, and we thought about the monetary benefits of a program like this. And so we did some research into both Lakewood's investment and Denver's investment, since Denver's also adopted this program, and found that for every $1 that we put into the Sustainable Neighborhood program, we get over $20 of benefits. In other words, if we had individually put staff resources to doing these projects or hired consultants or outside resources to do these projects, it would have cost us 20 times the amount of staff resources that we put into these projects. So the amount of investment that we're getting from our citizens is amazing and incredible and very much appreciated. This last year was an exciting one for Lakewood. Not only are we going to hear tonight about our 4 outstanding neighborhoods, but we received federal trademark status for the Sustainability Neighborhoods Network. This is the online format that Jonathan created to allow sustainable neighborhoods to be trademarked and used by other communities. And as you'll see, Denver was the first to adopt it in 2014. Denver adopted our program, and they have become increasingly excited about it. They now have 2 full-time staff and have currently 6 neighborhoods and have committed to do 2 new neighborhoods every 6 months. So it's exciting to see the growth of this program. And we receive constant interest from other communities across the country, especially after our presentation this last spring. So without further ado, let's put the focus where it belongs on our 4 outstanding neighborhoods. And I'm going to start today with Iber, if the Iber representatives could come down. And we'll stand over here. This is Iber's 3rd year of outstanding certification. They racked up 94 credits in the past year to receive their 3rd outstanding certification. Some of the I'll go quickly through some of the programs that these guys accomplished this year. The lovely group that you see on the screen here was responsible for turning 10,000 square feet of land at Iber Elementary into this lovely community garden. They're also responsible for the Be Safe initiative. This is an initiative that gets neighbors to voluntarily commit to using non-toxic weed control and pesticides so that we protect our bees and our other insects. The literacy volunteers. This is over 40 volunteers who work at Iber Elementary to encourage literacy and tutor young students. The Iber Resilience Circle. This is the group that meets and encourages social cohesion and social sustainability. They're also responsible for a great number of the workshops that are done in Iber, and a small number of which are seen on the screen here. So, in the past 3 years, Sustainable Iber is responsible for 28 workshops, nearly 1,300 residents engaged in the process, and over 10 partner agencies. Congratulations to Sustainable Iber. Thank you. Yep. Our next neighborhood is Belmar. Could the Belmar representatives please come to the front? This is also Belmar's third year of outstanding certification, and they racked up 106 credits this year towards that certification. Some of the projects going on in Belmar, obviously the Belmar Community Garden. If you haven't been out there, it's a lovely project. It's so much so, in fact, that they have their own auxiliary team of volunteers who, without even having their own plots, go out and help others work theirs and help maintain the garden. They have a committee for waste diversion and recycling. This committee has worked with residential buildings in Belmar to retrofit and recycle. They've also worked with businesses in the Belmar community to collect and recycle hard-to-recycle items, and working with TerraCycle. Obviously, Car2Go is in Lakewood and in Belmar because of this group, in large part, and they continue to do events to have sign-up days and other events to support Car2Go and other transit systems. They are strong in the clubs. They have walk, ride, and bike clubs and continue to actively organize their community around these clubs. And just this year, Belmar started a new website that talks about the projects that they're doing, as well as giving information on meeting and event days and times. So in the past 3 years, Belmar has been responsible for over 20 workshops, over 1,800 residents engaged, and over 13 partner organizations. Congratulations, Belmar. Our next neighborhood is Southern Gables. If we could have Southern Gables folks come down. This is the second year of certification for Southern Gables, and they compiled 117 credits for their second year of outstanding certification. Southern Gables has been responsible for a great number of educational workshops in their community. Two examples are energy conservation, which was very well attended on how to encourage and support energy conservation in the home, as well as chicken keeping. Chicken keeping 101, a big issue in Lakewood. They're also very strong in the community building events, including supporting events for Bike to Work Day, for National Night Out. They also have a neighborhood lunch where they invite neighbors out and encourage social cohesion at a local dining establishment in the neighborhood. This last fall, they sponsored, in conjunction with Alpine Waste, leaf collection, and between the two of them collected over 1.6 tons of leaves. Wait. The dry leaves. They've been pushing very hard towards curbside composting in their neighborhood, working, I think, also with Alpine Waste to try and provide curbside composting in their neighborhood and achieve a critical mass of neighbors to support this service. And here's a number of, certainly not an exhaustive list, of the workshops that they've hosted in Southern Gables. And their sign. In the last 2 years, they have been responsible for 28 workshops, over 1,200 residents engaged, and 21 partner organizations. Congratulations to Southern Gables. Finally, our newest entrance into the Outstanding Neighborhood Club, Lake Lockwood. We have some Lake Lockwood representatives. This is the first year of outstanding certification for Lake Lockwood. The Lake Lockwood folks live at the corner of Kipling and Florida. This is the smallest of our sustainable neighborhoods, and with 75 homes, and really shows how this program is transferable from the largest neighborhoods in Lakewood to the very smallest, and really is a program that can be used by any neighborhood. This group laughed at our 100 credits for certification when I went out and got 139 in their first year. They've been really focused on social sustainability and community cohesion, including a number of community workshops, including citizen engagement, collecting community ideas on how to make Lake Lockwood Village more sustainable and what sort of events they should have. They've focused on energy, encouraging homeowners to do energy audits and energy upgrades to their units. They even sent residents to do training, to do CERT training with FEMA, so that they'd be more resilient and ready for any emergencies that could happen. There's a lot of community history in Lake Lockwood Village, so they've actually created a StoryCorps style collection of oral history in their neighborhood. And they focused on water as well. One of the interesting things that I learned about Lake Lockwood was that all the shutoff valves were actually built into the walls and unfindable in these units. So they actually did a survey to find and move all of these shutoff valves in their building, not only for sustainability, but for safety reasons, I assume, as well. And their new sign. Congratulations, Lake Lockwood Village. And from Lake Lockwood, I'd like to invite David Anderson up to speak. I'm told you're going to speak for a couple minutes about your experiences with the program.
Okay. Well, there's not too much to say, other than you saw what we were trying to do. The other thing I think that is kind of interesting is that out of all of these sustainable neighborhood groups, some of them have many thousands of families and individuals involved in that, and Jonathan was either brave enough or crazy enough to say, well, let's take this little townhouse community with 72 residents and see if that works. It didn't work real well the first year, but like you said, we got some numbers up for this year. So thank you guys for sponsoring and creating and putting this thing out for our availability and use, and it makes people kind of happy and proud to be able to be part of the city without having to sit behind the dais up there. So thank you very much.
Sure, it's yours. And a final congratulations to all of tonight's award winners. I mean, that figure that Travis quoted about $1 invested by the neighbors is equivalent to what 20 taxpayer dollars would have been to try to get the same sustainable projects done. So we're obviously very proud. Sustainability is one of our core council values in this community. We recently passed our first ever community sustainability plan. So we're all proud to see this movement growing and growing. So one last round of applause and congratulations to everyone. Okay, on to item 5, which is public comment. And this is the point in the meeting where the public is invited to address the City Council on items that do not appear on the agenda. All comments should be directed to the City Council. And we have a large group tonight, so many of you have been here before, some of you have not. So I would ask that you listen carefully to the following instructions. First of all, if you would please observe the decorum of council chambers and try to refrain from audible support or discord with the speaker. There may be some folks with differing opinions here tonight. And we just ask for general civility in council chambers. I'm sure that won't be a problem. And then there is a 3-minute time limit on public comment. And when you come down here, you will see a green light on the lectern. When that light gets to yellow, 2.5 minutes are up, and you'll know that you have 30 seconds left. When you get to red, your 3 minutes are up, and I would ask you to conclude your comments. And given the number of folks that are in the audience tonight, I will be banging the gavel at 3 minutes and 1 second. We've got a lot of people here, and just out of respect for everybody, we're going to ask you to be concise and stick to that time limit. So what's going to happen is I will start by reading the names who have signed up on the roster, and if you didn't get a chance to sign up on the roster, no worries. You get the opportunity to do that a little bit later when I've exhausted all the names on the roster. I'm being reminded about this. And so the first thing we're going to do is before we start public comment, when we do start public comment, the first person I'm going to invite to the microphone is Police Chief, Division Chief Dan McCaskey. But before we get into public comment, as I alluded to in my introductory remarks, I'm going to ask Tim Cox, our City Attorney, to talk about again this ICCS application issue. Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Yes, I just wanted to provide a little bit more background, primarily for the audience, as council has heard this before. But a little bit more background on what the mayor had said earlier about where we are in the process and what the role of city council is. In that case, which again is not on tonight's agenda, but we did anticipate that there would be public comment, and that's why we're providing this information for you. First of all, the particular use in question proposed for the area there at 8th Avenue is subject to a special use permit per our Article 4 of the zoning ordinance, which lists the various uses, which zone districts they're allowed in, and what type of use they are allowed as permitted or limited or special. This is a special use, requires a special use permit. Per Article 2 of the zoning ordinance, special use permits are heard and decided by the Planning Commission. It has been that way as far as we can tell as long as Lakewood has existed or had its own code, dating back to the days when it used the county's code. Special use permits have been the province of the Planning Commission. So they have final decision-making authority for the city. The City Council does not hear the case initially, does not take appeals from Planning Commission decisions. It is a Planning Commission decision in the final form. Then we get into the area of quasi-judicial review. A special use permit, like a rezoning case that the council would hear, is considered quasi-judicial. You members of the council have heard this ad nauseum about the rules governing quasi-judicial and what it is. Quasi-judicial, as distinguished from your legislative role when you're, say, adopting amendments to the municipal code, that's a legislative matter. In a quasi-judicial matter, The decision-making body, whether it's the City Council or in this case the Planning Commission, sits in the role of a judge, hearing evidence about the facts, hearing testimony, considering other evidence, applying the law, the rules to those facts, and it's usually in the form of a particular piece of property or a small number of properties that are affected by the quasi-judicial process. The other elements that distinguish quasi-judicial from legislative include that there has to be a notice requirement and an opportunity for a public hearing, and that's the case with the special use review at the Planning Commission. I referenced the rules. That refers to the basic principle that in order to ensure or try to ensure a due process for the folks involved with the quasi-judicial application, there are rules designed to make sure that the evidence that is considered by the decision maker is in the record at the public hearing before that body, the Planning Commission in this case. It is inappropriate for the decision maker to consider information outside of that public hearing. And so therefore we talk about ex parte contacts, where someone approaches you or approaches a planning commissioner and says, I want to talk to you about this application and how you should vote on it. And we generally instruct or advise all of you when you're in that position to explain best you can why you cannot discuss it and invite that person to come to the public hearing. Those are, again, designed to provide due process at the hearing. I'm telling you all this now because there are apparently a number of people who want to talk tonight about that application. It is a public comment period, which is for non-agenda items. This is not an agenda item, so it is appropriate or it is permissible for members of the public to address you on that issue, as long as everybody understands that the City Council is not making a decision, not tonight, not at any point on that application. And therefore, whatever is said tonight won't become part of that public hearing record of the Planning Commission, and we would advise or encourage anyone who speaks on that subject tonight to plan on coming to the Planning Commission hearing, which, as the Mayor said, is tentatively scheduled for September 2nd, and make your positions and your opinions known at that time, because that's the body you'll be attempting to persuade one way or the other. So that's just a little bit of background as to what is happening with that application. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay. Appreciate that, Tim. And again, for the third or fourth time, this is not the deciding body and not the body of appeals either. So, but again, we welcome everyone, and we certainly welcome your comments on this or any non-agenda item. As I mentioned, I would ask Dan McCaskey to come down first, and second, I would ask another elected official in the audience from the West Metro Fire Board to speak second, and that would be Cassie Stenstrom. Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. It's an honor to be in front of you again tonight. This is, I think, the 5th year in a row I've been here to invite you to the Ralston House 0.5K race, which is going to be held August 29th, right in the heart of Lakewood over in Belmar at the Belmar Plaza. And for those who, I know you're all familiar, but for members of the audience that aren't familiar with Ralston House, we're a child advocacy center. And there's 3 locations, one in Lakewood, one in Arvada, and one in North Glen. And we serve children who are the victims of sexual abuse, physical abuse, or who witness violent crimes, and up to murder, and so really some serious cases. So we really provide a valuable service to our community. And our children are obviously our most vulnerable in our society, and that's what we're here for, to support them. So I'd like to invite everybody to our race. Again, it's August 29th. It's 0.5K. That's just under 1,700 feet. So most people you don't need to train for it. I brought some brochures, but if I would have realized we were going to have this bigger crowd, I'd have brought a lot more. So I would encourage everybody in the audience to look at Ralston House, look at our website, and see what kind of great work we do for our community. And it's really what makes Lakewood a great community. I also want to add, we're doing a race in Arvada, and we're doing it this weekend. And I really take a lot of pride in the fact knowing that we draw more people in Arvada. Every year they outnumber us, so we need a little pride in Lakewood, and let's get some people out there. But thank you all for your continued support. Again, I know I've been up here at least 5 years and on several different occasions for Ralston House, and I can't tell you how much it means to have City Council and the mayor's support for such a great part of our community. So thank you again.
Thanks, Chief. We look forward to it, as always. We'll let that one go. Thank you for applauding.
Mayor and City Council, thank you for having me. My name is Cassie Stunstrom. I am on the Board of Directors for West Metro Fire Rescue. I'm here tonight to invite all of you and the community to our community meetings in August. We have 3 meetings in Lakewood. Our first one will be on August 19th from 7 to 8:30 at our training center off of Kipling and Hamden. The next one in Lakewood is on August 25th from 7 to 8:30 at St. Paul's Episcopal Church, located at 9200 West 10th Avenue. And our next one is also going to be from 7 o'clock to 8:30 on August 31st at our fire station number 8, which is on 9001 West Jewel Avenue. These meetings are going to be discussing our reorganization and inviting community members to learn more about West Metro and get involved with how we serve the community. So please plan on attending those meetings, and you can find more information at www.westmetrofire.org. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Cassie. Please, let's, that was nice. Let's just not get in the habit. Applauding, booing, it's we'll keep it moving here. So I'm going to start down the public comment list, and I think you heard very clearly from our city attorney that the comments tonight will not be part of the case record that eventually goes before the Planning Commission, now tentatively scheduled for September 2nd. However, I wanted to make a clarification. Many of you have sent in letters and emails. Those are already part of the case record. So we are keeping very detailed track of that, and I can tell you that the last one that came in was at 6:23 p.m. tonight from Tracy Scroggins. So that one is already in the record. So we rest assured that all of those already are part of the record, and any future emails will be as well, even if tonight's testimony is not. So I'm going to start with the list didn't come up in any particular order, so I'm going to try to go back and forth a little bit. So I'm going to start with Jean Osborne.
Good evening. My name is Jean Osborne, and I'm past president of the Daniels-Welchester Neighborhood Association, which is located on the west side of Sims Avenue and immediately adjacent to where you plan to relocate the correctional facility. And the issue at hand tonight is the location of that correctional facility. The people here tonight are representative of businesses and residents in the area who have very strong concerns about this facility coming to our neighborhood. And at this time, I would like to ask anybody who is in opposition to the relocation to please stand, and to stand through the remainder of my presentation. As you are aware, the relocation of this facility has been very contentious. At one time, Jeffco tried to put it at Whiteacre and Colfax, and we successfully defeated that. Ralph Shell gave our neighborhood association written assurance that it would never again come within our neighborhood, and what happens then is he tries to locate it about 3 blocks outside of our neighborhood. We take issue with the plans for the city of Lakewood to locate 400 felons immediately adjacent to where we live. Lakewood Police Reporter responds to the facility at its current location. Every 36 hours, there's a police presence in response to some altercation. This figure does not reflect paramedic response and is not reflective of a facility that we have been told is highly secure and highly supervised, and that the people who live there are not a problem. Tonight you will hear from businesses who are in immediate proximity to the Women's Correctional Facility, which is located at 14th and Sims. The activities of the women at this facility have adversely impacted businesses immediately adjacent to it. And the relocation of the men's facility, just a mere 6 blocks away, is only going to multiply and compound the existing problem that already exists. You're probably wondering why we're coming to the City Council. Well, Lakewood has a comprehensive plan, and part of that comprehensive plan is the beautification of Colfax. The redevelopment of the JCRS Shopping Center is a part of that beautification plan. I guess the correctional facility is kind of the pimple on the butt of that, because you need to find a place for it. And the reality is that no other city in Jeffco has wanted it, and Jeffco's been unable to relocate it into unincorporated territory. So here we are. The City Council is the driving force behind your comprehensive plan. You have the ability to say to the Planning Commission, let's stop this. You have the ability to go to Jeffco and say, let's reconsider this. The buck kind of stops with you. It began with you, and it stops with you. And we are asking you to take action and to put a halt to this process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please. Bud Phillips.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you very much. My name is Bud Phillips. I'm here tonight representing Christie Sports at the request of our Chief Executive Officer, Patrick O. Winter. As has been stated in a letter that was sent to the City of Lakewood previously, Christie Sports has been around since 1958. We started over on Lakewood on Colfax Avenue. We've been here over a half century, so we're no newcomers to the town. We've been here on our facility at Parfait, literally a few hundred yards from this proposed facility, since 1990. So we have an interest in the neighborhood there. During that time, we've worked diligently to improve our business and our employees are key to our success out there. We're proud of our reputation for caring for those employees. We have employees that work at night and others who come in early in the morning before daylight. And when we told them of this response, this proposal, they were very concerned. Many of them came to me and said they may want to change their schedule, which is going to impact our business. This whole thing could impact our ability to retain employees and to recruit new employees. We feel that this is a major mistake. We are also concerned that it has a negative impact upon the surrounding residential neighborhoods, with about 3,000 homes out there, and other businesses. Further, we believe it's going to decrease the value of our property that we've worked hard to increase. We think it'll be difficult for us to find new tenants for the facilities that we lease on our property out there, and will, again, impact our business. Given the close proximity to the existing women's facility, we question why this facility needs to go in our neighborhood. On behalf of Christie Sports, Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak in front of you.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. I'm going to ask Melissa Reese to come forward, please. And then, yeah. I'm going to do that after the next one.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, thank you for having us. My name is Melissa Reese, and I am a neighbor in the Daniel Welchester's Association. When a convicted sexual predator moves in nearby, the Lakewood Police Department and the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, they alert residents within 1 to 5 miles, depending on how serious that offender is. Now, the current Kendall Correctional Facility houses 66 convicted sexual offenders, and Lakewood notified only those within 300 feet of the facility that they're coming here, none of which were residents. So I'm going to repeat that again. 66 convicted sexual offenders. And that number might seem really, really high to you, and that's because it is. So there's a program called the Adult Felony Divergence Program that Jefferson County piloted back in the 70s. It actually rehabs sex offenders from all around the state, brings them here to Jefferson County, treats them, and releases them back into the community here and not where they actually committed the crime. That's why there's a disproportionate number of sex offenders that are housed in Jefferson County and at this ICCS facility that's here in Jeffco. Another stat to note is the state corrections, community corrections records show that the numbers that rate an inmate's risk to the community, which is based on a couple different factors, including recidivism and the violence, that number has actually climbed up 15% in the past decade. So what that means is that Colorado is sending higher risk inmates, so more dangerous criminals, back into community corrections. And that's all driven by cost savings for corrections that corrections has over the prisons. As a mother of 2 young children, ages 3 and 4, I strongly oppose this location. I believe it's a failure of your responsibility as our elected local government to not involve the community on this initial issue. In addition, I think you're putting the children at great risk by putting this beside residential neighborhoods, schools, parks, and other children's facilities that are nearby. I'm going to leave you with a map of all the children-related facilities that are located near this proposed site. I believe I can show it to you somehow.
Yeah, Melissa, if you just put it face up, right there, face up. There you go. We've got a document camera.
So here's the proposed facility right here, this little box right here. And these X's are all facilities that house children in them. So I'm asking that you oppose this location and stick to the strategy that you approved in the comprehensive plan and just let this building stay exactly where it is. We all know that it can. It would be great for your economic development plan if it would. I know you want it to move, but the reality is it can stay exactly where it is. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks, Melissa.
Did you keep that?
You can leave it, keep it. I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and again, it's going to be a long night, so I'm going to be hopping back and forth between names here. I'm going to ask Amanda Stevens to come forward. And after Amanda, Paul Aguilar, please, from the Sheridan.
Thank you very much, City Councilors. I'm here to introduce myself. Amanda Stevens is a candidate for the District 4 seat on the Jefferson County School Board. Happy to introduce myself to the Lakewood community members that are here as well. I think I'm your one commercial break from the ICCS issue. So let me tell you a little bit about myself and my life and why I believe I'm prepared for this work, about what you can expect from my leadership, and about why I believe so strongly in listening. First of all, I'm born and raised in Jeffco. My parents still live in the house that they bought when I was just 3 months old. I grew up in the Jeffco schools, here in Lakewood, in fact, and I was a strong student, National Merit Honorable Mention. However, during high school, I became disconnected, and I left. I earned my GED. It motivated me later, after my bachelor's degree, to become an educator. I earned my master's of education and became a teacher so other students wouldn't slip through the cracks as I had. I spent 8 years teaching in high-poverty schools, both in a high school in Chicago, as well as nearby Sheridan, Colorado, in the middle school. Then I had 2 kids and started staying home. At that time, I was involved with my elementary school that my kids attend in the school accountability as both the chair or the co-chair for about 4 years. I was able to take the work that I did there and inform my work on district-level committees regarding both CHOICE, which was a 6-month committee, and I spent 1 year on the District Accountability Committee, known as the Strategic Planning Advisory Committee. When it comes to my leadership, what I believe in heartily is that students need to be at the center of every decision we make on the school board. I believe that we need to earn excellence for students, excellence in their education and learning outcomes, excellence in the opportunities that they have beyond the classroom to develop extracurricular interests and characteristics that will help them survive 21st century challenges. I also believe we need to pursue excellence in relationships so that students connect and thrive. Ultimately, I believe listening is key. If I intend to serve Jeffco well, I need to listen well to Jeffco. As a teacher one day, I punished a student and sent him out of class for playing with a Slinky. He later came back, apologized, but mentioned that a counselor had given it to him because that weekend he had lost a cousin in his arms to neighborhood violence. What I realized is I thought my agenda was the most important one that day, but it wasn't. And had I taken the time to ask and listen, I would have served him better. I will remember that story when I serve on the Jeffco School Board for the sake of my 2 young children and all 85,000 Jeffco kids. Thanks.
Thank you, Amanda. Paul Aguilar, and followed by Todd Hoskins. Todd and I just met on Friday. Hey.
Mr. Mayor, good evening, City Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Paul Aguilar, and we are speaking on behalf of the Sheraton Denver West and on behalf of the owner, the private owner of the hotel, Mr. Andrioli. We're here to state our opposition to the proposed building of the 250-bed halfway house at 11,100 West 8th Avenue, just 2 minutes away from our Sheraton Denver West hotel. We understand the need for and support the efforts of institutions where prisoners can readjust to private life and learn the skills necessary for success living by themselves. We are, however, opposed to the building of this facility in its proposed location and are asking for you to consider and support our position. The team at the Sheraton Denver West works hard to promote the upscale nature of the Union Corridor District. Our business levels and the rates that we charge for our services are directly tied to the reputation of our neighborhood. We also rely heavily on the addition of businesses such as Northwestern Mutual and Tarumbo BCT in the area, and this project has the potential to jeopardize further similar growth. We believe that the addition of a halfway house and its inhabitants in our neighborhood will hurt our business. According to an April 2014 recidivism report from the Bureau of Justice Statistics, 49.7% of offenders return to prison within 3 years after release, and 55.1% return within 5 years. Increased violence, drug use, and escapes are known issues associated with halfway houses. This causes concern for the safety of our guests and employees, as well as our desire to protect our neighborhood's reputation. We hope to be involved in future decisions and discussions. We'll certainly be there on September 2nd, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thanks, guys. Always good to see you. Todd, and then Jim Eaton, please. I'm sorry. Judy Eaton. Yikes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, Todd.
City Council. Nice to see you again. I came here tonight to support the local community and the residential district as well as the businesses. I was not expected to come down, but I do have a big concern. I'm the general manager of Larry H. Miller Ford Lakewood, which we just took over as a new entity in November. We do run a shift from 7 a.m. until midnight, which again I have some of my employees know about what's happening with the location of this new facility, which then again it's my sole direct to take care of that responsibility for the Miller organization and my people, first and foremost, with having 120 plus employees, which continues to grow every month. Along with that, we are a business that we like to have our customers come on that are treated very well, to where we cannot have any other people come in and loitering and causing a ruckus in our normal day-to-day business operations. As well as that goes, is with having a 2-story facility, our liability then goes on when you don't know how many people are on the facility at one time that should not be on that facility. So I won't take your full 3 minutes, but our concern is there. Our team in Salt Lake is aware of this, and they'll be supporting us as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Todd. Judy Eaton, followed by Kyle Buffington.
Good evening, Council. I hope that I bring a unique perspective here. I actually work for Intervention and Intervention Community Corrections. I have to tell you, from my perspective, I'm so proud of our staff members at Intervention and ICCS. I'm honored to work alongside these dedicated staff members whose number one priority is public safety. They're also leaders in the community corrections industry and provide innovative programming so that those who are privileged to be in community corrections, who are following the rules, have a transition from where they're coming from, which probably is a prison, into community corrections so that they can be productive members of society. We strive to be the best at what we do. The system challenges us every day to follow evidence-based practices. We're also unique because we're a nonprofit. We're not just here to make money. We're here to be a part of this community and to be a part of the solution. We have a great reputation. And as my position as the Director of Marketing and Development, I get to see all of our facilities and all of our offices across the state. And I am in a unique position to tell you that I interact with stakeholders across this state. And over again is the kind of programming that we provide is superior, it's evidence-based, and it's thought through thoroughly. As I mentioned, our clients are in our facilities, and it's a privilege for them to be there. They are on their way back into the community, and this is a place where they get to work towards getting that privilege to be on their own. Many of our staff work in this community and live in this community. They provide jobs in the community and care about the community. If you go to our website, you'll see that we participate in many community service projects throughout this community in Lakewood. So for that reason, I just wanted to give you a unique perspective from my position. And I know you're not making the decision, but to let you know how proud, at least I am personally, of our staff and how hard we work to follow the policies and procedures so that there aren't problems in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Kyle Buffington, followed by Debbie Nunnally.
Council members, thank you for having me. I am Kyle Buffington. I am a resident of the Eber neighborhood, and I'm also the manager of German Motors. We are adjacent to the women's facility of ICCS, and I would like to give you firsthand accounts as to the effects that it has had on my business. First of all, on a liability standpoint, the women are given strict orders not to trespass on our property, yet they're consistently being picked up and dropped off by other people and cutting across our parking lot. This is a liability standpoint. We have delivery trucks coming in and out of our parking lot all day. We have customers coming in and out. If one of these women gets injured, it's on my hands. It's my problem. It's my liability. The foot traffic with the consolidation, if you will, of these types of programs in our area, there's been a substantial amount of trash, debris on our sidewalks. I can tell you firsthand that they have no respect for our community. They generally do not follow the rules. I've been harassed not only by the women, but by the people that are associated with the women. I've had my customers being yelled at. They've had rude gestures and obscene language pointed towards them. It has affected my productivity at my business. It has affected my employees and my customers. There's not a whole lot else to say, but I don't feel that the men's facility was going to be beneficial in any way to our neighborhood, especially with the amount of concentration from the people that are in these facilities and the people that they are associated with. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buffington. Debbie Nunnally. And
good evening.
I'm sorry, Deb. And then Brad Apple, please. Hi.
I'm Debbie Nunnally. I'm here representing Terumo BCT tonight, and I want to start by thanking everybody on the council for just the partnership you've given Terumo BCT and its predecessor companies over the past years. We've been in Lakewood since 1967, right there on Oak Street, and Quail as well. We sent a letter, so that's on record. I'm not going to read that letter tonight. I just want to, again, express the concern Terumo BCT has for a correctional facility being built adjacent or near our property. The women's one was put in a couple years ago. I thank ICCS as well as Jefferson County and Lakewood for the proactiveness when that one came into Lakewood years ago, came to us with the proposal of building it. We shared concerns at that time. We researched it, and it's here today. We also thank you for the proactiveness you provided us a month or so ago and shared all of the information. That information has been shared with our president of our company, and our associates know about this, and we are here to just express those concerns today. We are having another meeting with the county commissioners in a couple of days just to gather more information, and then we will express more concerns at that time. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Brad Apple, followed by Chuck Thorman, please.
Hello, Mayor and council members. We are Brad and Judy Apple. We own the building at 980 Sims Street and operate Reflection Salon and Spa. We employ our 2 daughters and 32 young ladies who would all be at risk. After 15 years, we have built a quality business in a safe and secure location. This could only open the door for a very bad situation while one of our daughters or someone else is opening or closing the business. Our business is liable for what happens to our employees and customers. We're not as prepared as businesses in high problem areas, which makes us more vulnerable. This would put numerous burdens on all businesses in the area and put all our safety at risk. This could cripple some businesses and will negatively change our area forever. We will be faced with increased insurance rates as crime increases, along with added costs to secure our buildings. It was stated that the current facility had about 220 police calls in 1 year at that site. This was 220 calls that 25 on-site security guards could not handle. These are more serious calls than the apartment calls they were compared to. If you factor these problems with the security guards, it would be many times higher than 220 calls. There was 0 calls at the proposed site in the past year. The study on the property values also is skewed and inaccurate. To be accurate, there should be a study showing the property's values each year since opening at its current location and the decreased surrounding property values. The 1 year they showed was simply a rebound from the real estate prices being deflated for years and the biggest shortage in housing for over 20 years. Since the women's facility is opened, there are women provocatively hitchhiking in our parking lot and being picked up. We've also had a lady stripped down completely naked in the parking lot. The men's facility would only aggravate or make these problems worse. The new facility will have many visitors, both family and friends, many of them the same bad influences that steered these people wrong to begin with, including gang members. This will create additional problems to the area that never existed before. The proposed facility of 250 inmates would prevent this. What would prevent this from becoming 500 or 700 men? Also, why not build the complex at the existing facility site? The neighborhood is adjusted, and they are close to transportation, or the jail location, which has buses and train stop. These locations would be a lower impact. This is not right. This is not the right location for a facility like this for many reasons. Anyone with any concern for the health and well-being of this community can see this. Thank you, and please do not let this facility become located as close to us. Thank you.
Again, thank you. Good job. I'm going to, again, gently, as I'm going to do every 30 minutes or so, gently remind folks that what you're saying tonight is not a matter of the case record. So I would encourage you to stay involved, keep track of that planning commission date, which is scheduled tentatively for September 2nd. Send in letters, send in emails. Your testimony tonight is not part of the official record, and we are not the deciding body. So I just want to make sure that the expectations are consistent out there. But again, we appreciate everybody coming to tell us their points of view. Mr. Thorman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. First, I want to say I thank God that I'm not on any committee that has to deal with the issues that have been discussed tonight. I have great empathy for them. I'm on a committee for Jefferson Center Mental Health, a board member, and I know the issues on both sides. And for many people, there will never be a right decision. So, vaya con Dios, my friends, on that one. Well, council members, I'm here tonight. I have a publication in my hand. It's called The Whole Story. And I suspect everybody on the council in one way or another has seen this. I have a simple request of the council members. Would those of you who have had nothing whatsoever to do with this publication be willing to raise your hand and say, I have not participated in this at all? And then this will be explained very clearly in the following comments I have. This may be unusual, but I'd like to see those who have the honesty to say that. Thank you. This publication, in my book, is one of the most hypocritical public releases that I have ever seen in politics. It's called The Whole Story, Real Transparency in Local Government. That is the biggest pile of fresh cow chips I have ever seen or read. There is no transparency because no one is identified as to who writes, pays to do this, or etc. That, in my book, is not freedom of the press in the Americas, especially in politics. If you haven't got the guts to put your name on something you're putting out, I hope like hell you're not collecting taxpayers' money. Don't applaud or shoot me, please. Freedom of the press is one thing, but putting out a paper like this and hiding under the guise of freedom of the press is, in my book, both un-American and unethical. The rumor on the street is that Councilman Wickman is a part of this group. And I don't like rumors. I think that's one of the worst things that can happen, especially in politics. So I asked Mr. Wickman, would you be willing to put thumbs up or thumbs down that you're yes or no, not part of this? You're not willing to say so. Fine. The entire content of this mimics and or promotes.
I have to ask you to wrap up your comments.
Oops, sorry. I just don't think we should have a taxpayer, somebody collecting taxpayers' money for putting out something like this.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
Let's see. Kathy Otten. Sorry, I didn't give you a little warning there. And Rachel Lambert.
Good evening, and thank you so much for allowing me to come and talk before you. I'm a supporter of community corrections. I have been dealing with community corrections and clients for over 15 years. I've been working with ICCS through Jefferson County for the last 3. Prior to that, I've worked with the Department of Corrections. I've also worked very closely in the Governor's Advisory Council. And what I want to say to you today is you will hear and you have heard a lot of extorted inaccuracies, scare tactics. You've heard people quote statistics that are national statistics that are not relevant to ICCS. ICCS is under complete scrutiny and has to be upheld to standards, and those standards, they're either number one or number 2 in the state out of all the different facilities. They're not the blanket community corrections. I'm very saddened by some of the people that in many different forums are putting out inaccuracies. They're saying they're from Daniels Welchester when they're from Whiteacres. They're saying they live close when they're 2.6 miles or more away. I'm saddened by our employers that actually, if they really dug deep, they employ our clients. Every time that you go to a restaurant or a hotel or a car dealership or a oil changing place or a car wash or whatnot, our clients are working there. Our clients are the ones that are serving you the food or are booking your hotel room or whatnot. and it's all across the state. Also, in addition, you hear the negative and you hear the scare tactics, but what you don't hear is the positive things that they do. They have a community garden and they feed the homeless. They have they volunteer, not because they have to, but because they want to. They clean up the Colfax before they prepare for the Colfax Marathon. They clean up the garbage afterwards. They go to the neighborhood parks and they clean that up. They pick up the dog stuff that people leave there. They also work with the seniors who that can't keep up their yards. They pull weeds and whatnot for daycare centers. They do all kinds of things, but instead of hearing about that, you hear about these negativity. Also, I think the other thing that's important that you know is that not everybody who wants to be in community corrections gets into community corrections. They have to go through a complete process. They have to go through 4 levels before they even have the option to go through community corrections. 4 levels of screening that are made up of people that you trust and many community residents. That's really important.
I want to ask you to wrap up your comments.
Sure. So what I wanted to do is just to bring forward some of the positives and some of the things, the inaccuracies that you're hearing. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Rachel Lambert, followed by Melissa Nicole.
Hello, Mayor, City Council members. I just wanted to come here today. My name is Rachel Lambert, and I work with children and families in Lakewood. And a lot of the families that I work with, their fathers are in community corrections there at ICCS. And I just wanted to say I've seen some amazing work of fathers coming back into the community, paying child support, working to reconnect with their kids. And I just wanted to come and just give my support for relocating ICCS from its current Kendall location to over on 8th and Quail. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Nicole. Doesn't say that, but welcome anyway. Followed by, if I may, John Goldman.
Thank you for having me. I'm a parent. My husband and I have 5 children between the 2 of us. They range in age from 32 to 16. And I'm just here to speak in opposition of the correctional facility. I serve as the secretary for the Lakewood High School Volleyball Booster Club and the vice president of the Girls Basketball Booster Club. Our 16-year-old is the last one at Lakewood High School, and she plays volleyball and basketball year-round. She has played for Jeffco Performance Volleyball Club in the past, which is just a block away from where this facility will be located. That facility houses girls from ages 12 to 18. They usually have 10 to 20 teams. I'm concerned that nobody's looking out for our kids, that they're willing to put a facility this close to a place that houses that many children. Not all of their practices can be during the day. These kids obviously go to school. They have other sports that they're involved in. A lot of their practices are at night. The girls are driving themselves to the facility. They're getting in their cars. They're walking to their cars alone after practice. It's just a concern. My daughter drives the frontage road, so she's not on Colfax in the middle of all of the traffic, right by where the facility is. It's just a concern for me. A lot of these kids that live in the Daniels-Welchester neighborhood open enroll to Lakewood High School. We love the Lakewood community, but a lot of those kids have to take public transportation and will be on those buses with people from the correctional facility. So I think it's a concern for everybody. My other concern is that they haven't come to us and said, what can we do? Maybe they're coming to some of the businesses and talking to them and saying, what are your concerns? But they're not coming to the members of the community and saying, what are your concerns? What can we do to help talk to you about what we can do for your children? What can we do for your teenagers? Our kids are some of the oldest in the neighborhood. There's a lot of very young children in that neighborhood. There's bus stops every morning when I drive my kids to school. There's a ton of bus stops within less than a mile of where this facility will be located. Those kids do not have parents waiting with them to get on the school bus. So I just think it's a concern, and I think that we should really be talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you. John Goldman, followed by Jeannie Martinick, please.
I attended the council meeting a month ago when the planning department presented the Sheraton Station 20-minute neighborhood plan. It's a great program. The city and the city council are to be commended. During the presentation, we heard about the 4-year process that involved a concerted effort to reach out to the community. About how many public meetings were held in schools and churches to have the community fully engaged. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were invested in the effort, and the city staff were assigned to provide support. All of this resulted in 91 recommendations to improve the neighborhoods near the Sheraton Station. At the council meeting, the effort was rightfully praised. Mayor Murphy was excited to see the community engagement. Councilor Quinn said this will change the neighborhood in a positive way. And Councilor Barroway thanked the community for saying, this is what we want for our neighborhood, and praised the great collaboration between the community and the city. During the past 4 years, the city has been working on another plan targeting 2 of the oldest neighborhoods in the city. Let's call it the 400 Felon Plan. The 400 Felon Neighborhood Plan. This plan is different. It involves 0 community outreach by the city or the county. It involves $0 to study the impacts on the surrounding businesses and residential community. It involved no collaboration except with Jeffco and the developer. In fact, the city and the county are doing all they can to limit public input. When the one required public meeting was held, not a single resident, not one, was on the official notification list. The meeting was held in a hot warehouse with terrible acoustics, and the city didn't even rent a PA system so people could hear the presentations. That's why we're angry. The plan started 4 years ago when the city and the county acted as quietly as possible to site the women's correctional facility in our community. It continues today with the men's facility just 1,000 yards away. The only 2 correctional facilities of this type in the whole county, just 1,000 yards apart and in our community. Mayor Murphy and members of the City Council, we would much rather have community engagement meetings in schools and churches rather than invading City Council chambers to demand to be heard. But that courtesy provided to others in Lakewood has not been provided to the businesses in this area or the Iber, Daniel Gardens, or Welchester neighborhoods. Why all the love and great collaboration and 91 recommendations for the Sheraton Station neighborhoods and the same for 40 West Arts District, while all our community in Northwest Lakewood gets from the city is trust us as we become the dumping ground for your problems. This is wrong. This is cynical. This is local government at its worst. You must stop this now.
Thank you, Mr. Goldman. Jeannie Martinick, please.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council people. I am a mom of one of the ICCS so-called felons. He is not a bad kid. He was not a troublemaker. He chose to drink after his high school graduation, the night of graduation, and got in trouble. he got sentenced to ICCS. There are a lot of kids there or people there that are not felon criminals as you would think. I didn't know what to expect when he got sentenced there because I had no experience with any kind of thing like that. As it turns out, I was surprised. They're very strict. They don't get to run wild or loiter. They have strict rules. They have to, if they leave, they sign out. They have to say exactly where they're going and what time they get there. They have to call from that location. There is no, I'll be back whenever, I'm going whenever. No. Their location has to be approved before they can even go. They don't loiter outside. They have a curfew. They can't stand outside and smoke and hang out no, they have to be in bed. They have chores. It's not what you would think. I was surprised myself. And my son was lucky to be given the chance to go to this facility and to be given a second chance to start again. He was signed up for college. He had all his stuff in order. But, mistakes happen. And I just want to say that I support it, and I support the fact that people are given a second chance when they made mistakes. We've all made mistakes in our lives. And thank you, God, for second chances.
Okay, thank you. Jim Flynn, followed by Vivian Simpson, please.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I'm Jim Flynn. I've lived on Zhang Street in the neighborhood in question for over 24 years. I've had 4 grandkids go through Welchester Elementary School. I am appalled at what is going on. It's not government by secret. It's supposed to be government by and for the people. No commission, whether volunteers, thank you for volunteering, Planning Commission, but no commission should have a say-so over a major impact development for a neighborhood. That is not right. It is not American. If we want to do things that way, why don't we just change ourselves to call ourselves Russia? Now, I volunteer at Welchester Elementary. I have for the last 3 years, ever since school shootings back east. Welchester Elementary has a program called Watchdogs. We go to school and we patrol the school grounds to protect those kids, to make sure that no sexual predators that live in the area can come on the school grounds, to make sure that no nut job can come in and try and harm our kids. You want to put this facility approximately 100 yards across the street from DDRC. That happens to stand for developmentally disabled people. They are vulnerable. You want to have people 150 yards away that can maybe rape them, take advantage of them, treat them like non-people. DDRC does a job trying to teach these people how to live on their own eventually and maybe get a job. Up on the hill, you have subsidized housing. In that subsidized housing, you have many, many kids. And you're going to subject them to sexual predators? I don't want to hear about this rehab. Sexual predators, once a predator, always a predator. Yes, other felons do rehab themselves and integrate into society. And they should have an opportunity, but excuse me, not in my neighborhood, not on my day. I spent 2 years, 11 months, 6 days fighting a war for this country, and this is another war I'm ready to fight.
Vivian Simpson, please, followed by Ryan Kinfolk.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for letting me speak. I've worked with community corrections clients for over 25 years. Most recently, I've worked closely with ICCS. I was involved when they cited the women's facility, and I know for a fact that the women's facility, ICCS worked very hard notifying the neighborhood and talking to the neighborhood and meeting their needs and answering their questions. So they're very willing to work with their neighbors. There's an awful lot of misinformation out there, and that's part of the reason why I came tonight, was to let you know that it's not 400 felons. Just because you put it on a website doesn't mean it's true. And it's just not going to be a facility for 400 felons. We don't have the money for 400 felons. And there's not 66 sex offenders in ICCS. There's less than half that number today. And we do not take sexually violent predators. I work with the screening process. I know that they're screened carefully and in many levels, and we just don't take people that can't be managed successfully in the community. The one thing that needs to be pointed out is that these offenders are in your community already. By the time that they get to ICCS, the supervision at ICCS is keeping them under control 10 times over what they had on probation or what they'll have on parole. Couldn't be safer. I'd have it across the street from my house. The area around the facility is going to be safe. If an offender's off-site, they go home. They don't loiter in that neighborhood. If they get a pass, they leave the facility, and they don't stay around there. It's just fear-mongering, and it's not true, and you can put any kind of misinformation up there, and it's just not going to make it so. Recidivism doesn't affect the businesses. It has no bearing on the location of the facility. Offenders recidivate because they don't always commit a new crime. They may get arrested for breaking a rule. One of their rules is that they can't drive. If they get caught driving, they get regressed. So that, it's not a dangerous thing to you. It's just that they can't follow rules. And most of them do it when they're not under supervision. 70%, if they're going to recidivate, do it once they're home in their own neighborhood. They're not going to do it in this neighborhood. So I can't think of a better place. We have the people to say DDRC is a problem. We have offenders that are involved with DDRC. We have offenders that are involved with JCMH. We have offenders that are, they get all kinds of treatment. And it's just safe for your neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan Kinfolk, followed by Tim Rogers.
Evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Ryan Kinsella, and I'm here to support the special use permit that's proposed to put the community reentry facility at 8th and Quail. First, I want to address some of the concerns that have been expressed by some of the community members tonight. The idea that somehow bus routes are going to be unsafe or that this is going to somehow cause further crime in the area is just something that's completely false. These individuals are already riding those routes. You act like they're not riding the 16 or riding the 100 or riding the West Line. Where do you think they travel right now? It's the same exact bus routes that they're already riding. And really, the reality is that half this crowd probably isn't even riding public transportation anyways. So I don't really see what the deal is there. Secondly, the idea that there's not this many facilities of that type in the Jefferson County area. Golden alone, if we're looking at facilities that people have somehow tried to group together tonight, has over 6. That's counting Camp George West, the jail, Lookout Mountain Youth Correctional Facility, probation, diversion. This area specifically only really has 2, which is the adult and DUI and juvenile probation located in the Remington building, and then also the ICCS West facility that's been there since 2012. Also, the assumption and information that's been put out on this Tell Jeffco No website, which I would just like to know for everybody that's here and listening on the TV tonight, that is the biggest misinformation website you can possibly go to. There's not 47% of individuals at ICCS that are not successful. That's completely false. The state average completion rate for ICCS, or for community corrections of the state, is 67% when you're combining successful completion rates, return to residential, and continuous stays. Basically people that are either transitioning out or still staying in the facility. Only 23% are those who are taken back on a technical violation, which would be a regression, as some people refer to only. And escape, which has been brought up and seems to be scaring everybody tonight, is only 3%. So to put that in perspective for everybody, out of the 250 residents that could possibly be at this facility, not 400, 250. Is that the same building? I don't think so.
Hey,
allow me the respect to finish my comments. Thank you.
This gentleman has the floor. I'll gavel you out of here if you don't keep order.
So out of those 250 residents, what does that mean percentage-wise? Only 8 will walk away, 57 will have technical violations be returned to custody, and 167 will be successful. That's successful people that are going to be back out in your community, employed, with treatment, that are going to be successful. In addition, ICCS was also audited by the Colorado Division of Criminal Justice using a risk factor analysis, given a score of 4.3%. I got 30 seconds. They're tied for second lowest in the state. So I want to just leave with one comment, that these people are not felons. They're people just like you and I. They're people that made a mistake and are suffering the consequences, but need the support of all of us to be able to lift themselves back up. What this really
your 3 minutes are up.
Boiling down to is that you guys think that we don't need this in our neighborhood. What this really means is that you don't want to put it where I live.
Sir, your 3 minutes are up.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We're going to take a break. It's 8:25. If anybody has a chill pill in their pocket or purse, please take it now. When we started, I asked for civility. I asked for order in the chamber. And if we don't get that, we're not going to continue. So let's take 10 minutes. It's 8:26. We'll reconvene about 8:36. Thank you. back into session. The Lakewood City Council meeting of July 27th, 2015 will resume public comment on non-agenda items. I would again issue the periodic reminder that I'm going to be doing throughout the evening that what you're saying tonight is not going to be part of the case record. You're welcome to send emails or letters, which will be part of the case record. This body, City Council body, is not the original body of decision, nor are we a body of decision on any potential appeal. And I would, again, gently ask for civility in chambers. That's kind of why we took that break. I've been at this a long time, and I've found that it's a lot more productive when we have good civil dialogue with each other. Reasonable people can disagree, but let's stay reasonable. And again, finally, would remind people that that what we're talking about is a case for which an application was put in, I think on July 8th, by the private sector, a private developer, and it is in the initial stages of review by our planning staff. And as of now, the Planning Commission meeting, at which everything you say will be on record and at which the final decision will be made, that meeting is scheduled for September 2nd. All right, fair? So once again, to set those expectations on the same level as we resume. So I'm going to ask Tim Rogers, followed by Gary Hardy, followed by Diane Duffy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. I appreciate the opportunity to come before you tonight and offer my perspectives and opinions. I'm here as a commercial real estate broker that has been actively working with a number of the building owners and tenants in the West 8th Avenue and Quell area for the past 18 years. Understanding what the potential impact to the safety and welfare of the businesses, its employees, and their guests of a facility like the proposed rehabilitation facility is critically important to me. We may need to take a break so I can freshen up my verbiage here. I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. Like everyone else tonight, I wanted to answer a number of critical questions. What kind of people reside in this facility? Are they a threat to the neighbors? Who's keeping track of the residents? How do they know where they are and what they're doing? What takes place in the facility? How does its operation impact the crime and safety and welfare of the neighbors? How does this facility impact the property values of the neighborhood? So I visited the facility. I toured the property, met with a number of staff, sat in on some classes, and spoke to a number of the actual residents. I pulled up past sales of properties in the neighborhood of these two facilities to determine how the facilities impacted property values on their current neighborhoods. In all honesty, I was surprised at what I found. The review of the process for an individual to qualify for this program was beyond my expectations. Participation in this program was not a form of punishment, but a rigorous assessment process to selected, limited individuals to qualify to participate in this program. Monitoring of all the residents' activities throughout the day was an extremely sophisticated process. Interviews with the facility's neighbors on Kendall Street surprisingly told me that they had no problems with the residents of the facility, and in fact many times provided a service of working in their yards and doing community service work in the neighborhood. My research into the impact on the property values of the two existing rehabilitation facilities currently operating in Lakewood indicates that there is no negative impact on the neighboring property values. It turned out that there was nothing that I could find in my visits and research that would lead me to oppose the relocation of this facility. I would encourage all of you here tonight to be cautious before you invest your opinions of this project based upon your fears, that you review all of the facts, weigh the evidence to form an opinion based upon the facts. Thank you for the chance to testify tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. You did just fine after the break. Gary Hardy, followed by Diane Duffy.
Thank you, Mayor Murphy and city staff. When I saw on the agenda tonight that we'd be celebrating our outstanding sustainable neighborhoods, I thought that'd be an excellent opportunity to invite city staff and city council to join us on our first sustainable neighborhood bicycle ride. And please mark your calendar down, September 26th. We will begin at 9 a.m. in Belmar, and there'll be a progressive ride. We'll start with a handful of riders and proceed to Iber, forgotten the order, but Lake Lockwood and Southern Gables, and back to Belmar. The purpose of the ride is to celebrate the accomplishments of each one of our sustainable neighborhoods. Also, we'll have an opportunity to explore some of the bicycle infrastructure in Lakewood that makes it a nice place to ride. We will be going through some of the nicest single-family neighborhoods, and that's another purpose of, or another part of what we want to celebrate in the city of Lakewood. And so with that in mind, again, please circle the 26th on your 26th of September on your calendar, and please join us. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
I just wonder where, Gary, where in Belmar are you going to be meeting?
I think we'll be underneath the sustainability sign, which is right across from the plaza and right next to the Target parking lot. One place or the other, one side of that street will be quite visible. Thanks.
What time is that, Gary? Sorry.
Start at 9 a.m.
9. Okay, thanks.
Okay, Diane Duffy. I'm just going to go to a new page here, followed by Charlie Guider.
Good evening, City Council. Once again, I apologize for the late evening. Our residents felt that they had no voice. There was no place for them to come to the city to vocalize their concerns about this. So this is the place we can go on the record, is in your chambers, and so we're here on the record. One thing I do need to clarify, Daniels Welchester is the organization, the neighborhood organization that I'm the president of, and that is Sims all the way to Indiana, all the way to the Colorado Mills. So that is White Acres, it's Mountain View Estates, and it's Daniels Gardens. It encompasses all of that. Now, part of our area, we have just under 2,000 households, I think. Part of our area is in the city of Lakewood, and part of our area is in the county. So we're used to talking to you, and we're used to talking to the county commissioners, too. I wanted to make that point that White Acres is part of Daniels Welchester. We're all here, like I said, because we wanted a voice, and they didn't feel like they had that. Most people weren't notified at all. As some people have said, notices only went out to people within 300 feet. 300 feet is less than a city block. For something like this, the staff maybe could have gone a little over their actual requirements for a special use permit for a correctional facility and let the residents know. There's houses within 2.5 blocks of this, some within a block, big apartment buildings within a block. So maybe that was just an oversight, but rules are rules, I know, I get that. But with something like this, maybe a little more communication. It cost me a lot of ice cream. My 5 grandkids have been out delivering flyers so that everyone knew. I'm so tired of everybody saying, I didn't know. So my 5 kids went out and delivered flyers, and they couldn't agree on an ice cream, so I had to buy all 4 gallons. Now, to correct some of the things that were said earlier, the Tell Jeffco No website, I have personally gone through and made sure that those numbers were correct. The numbers that they used on there, I got from, Margie, if you could put the thing on here. I got when I visited, because you know me, I do my research. I went over to the facility. I took the tour. I talked to Greg. And this is what he gave me. When the website said 66 felons, that's because that's what ICCS gave me. And I brought this piece of paper back from my meeting with Greg. Kendall facility had 66 total clients in 2004 that were sex offenders. Of those, only 44% successfully completed the program. Now, to me, maybe they didn't commit another sex offense, but they didn't follow the rules. And my kids know when they don't follow the rules, they're in trouble. So,
Diane, your time ended about 10 seconds ago.
Okay. Well, thank you, and thank you for hearing us tonight. And again, I apologize for the late evening.
Thank you. Thanks. And again, just to correct a little bit of an unintentional misstatement, this is not part of the record tonight, but we appreciate everybody being here. Mr. Guider, followed by Marion Hewitt, please.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I live 3 houses west of Sims on West 13th Avenue, so I'm very close to the other facility. I'm very concerned about a concentration of 2 facilities in such a small area. People have mentioned that it changes the flavor of the neighborhood. There not only are from my experience, that women are a lot of times where they're not supposed to be, getting dropped off around the corner. I've seen them getting into cars out in front of my house 8 o'clock in the morning. So, we can deal with that with 1 facility, but I think 2 facilities in such a small area is ridiculous. That's all I got.
Thank you. So, Marion Hewitt, followed by Peter Groth. What? Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I'm Marianne Hewitt, and I own a house on Oak Street. That's approximately a block, maybe 2, away from this facility or planned facility. However, this close to that proposed site, we were never notified. If I did not have friends in the Welchester area, we would not have ever known. In 1989, this same facility was going to go in at 12th and Quail. There was a lawsuit filed by the citizens, which we won, and it went away. Subsequent to a neighborhood meeting, we were assured by the city and its members that it's never going to go in there. It's done. In fact, I was being yelled at. It's done. We're not going there. It's done. Now, 25, 26 years later, we are revisiting this. And I am so annoyed that we were not notified, because whoever sends these notices out, I'm not even sure, I think it's the planning board, they did not want us to know, because they knew the problems they were having in 1989. I still, to this day, have all the paperwork. I have everybody that was in the facility, what they were arrested for, what they were plea bargained down to, and it's amazing, totally amazing. And they are now, it's much more dense in the area. There are more children. Some of the people that actually, some of them passed away, some of them moved, but a majority are still in that neighborhood. We're still here, but we were not informed. And I do appreciate you letting me speak my piece. And, oh, by the way, one more thing. I'm still up, yeah. Way back then, City Council did have a say, because I was involved in all of that. It went through the planning board, and then it went to the City Council 25, 26 years ago. So if this council today can no longer do anything, then when did all of that change? I'd like to know that, okay? Thank you so much for allowing me to speak and address you tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Hewitt. Before Mr. Groth comes down, I want to ask 2 clarifying questions. Mr. Cox, you mentioned this in your introductory remarks about how long special use permits have been the vehicle for deciding something like this, and how long that has been the province of the Planning Commission. Can you repeat that?
What I commented on, Mr. Mayor, was how long the special use permits have been in the purview of the Planning Commission to decide. I don't have the information. I don't know if planning staff has looked at whether this use has always been subject to special use permit review. I just don't know the answer to that as we sit here. Informally, we researched the zoning ordinance. I looked at zoning ordinance dating back to 1988 and saw that the special use permit process was a planning commission process. Mr. Parker, the planning director, had indicated to me earlier today that he looked at as far back as 1976 and saw that at that point special use permits were the decision of the Planning Commission.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what process Ms. Hewitt was talking about. We can certainly look at what happened in that prior case, but special use permits have been a Planning Commission function essentially since the city became incorporated.
And actually, that the current site was on the basis of a special use permit issued in '92 or something, if I remember right. Mr. Parker, notification. What are our notification procedures for a special use permit? There have been a couple of recent. Again, this is.
And if I may, Mayor,
not trying to be argumentative, just want to clarify here.
On that, with the 300-foot notification, there should have been a quarter mile to homeowners associations as well. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. So special use permits have less notification than rezonings, but more than variances or waivers. So they're the middle ground, and I believe it is 300 feet for each property owner, as well as a quarter mile for every neighborhood organization.
All right, thanks. Mr. Groth.
Good evening. Appreciate the opportunity to bring something to your attention off the current subject. Lakewood's character is rapidly changing, and I don't think it's necessarily for the better. There's been a great number of business-emphasized projects, but I think you're failing to listen to the citizens. I can't talk to all of these. I'll be back again. We're just failing in one for tonight's presentation, and that is aesthetics. The city's becoming very tawdry, very nervous, uptight. And one of the reasons is the proliferation of unnecessary signs that are illegal. How do I know this? I brought the first sign code to Lakewood when Lakewood was first formed. I'm able to read codes. The new code is not being enforced. Like Yogi Berra said, you can observe a lot by looking. The other reason I tell you it's not being enforced, in the entire year of 2014, not one citation was given for an illegal, non-conforming sign, according to the city clerk. I'm disturbed that the planning department is making too many decisions. Now they would allow electronic digital billboards with all the hectic things we need and don't need. We don't need those, especially along 6th Avenue when people need to make decisions. I ask that we stop the practice of asking the public to report infractions. Instead, have the zoning department and all departments working as a network enforce our city codes or laws. Put some financial backing into the laws. We have uncontrolled sign competition like we had in the 1950s and 60s in Denver. You got it, I want it. You got an exception, I want two. I don't know what the fines would be because there haven't been any. I recommend that the sign companies be chased out of the planning department. I recognize some things that have definitely come from the makers of digital. I can put some of these up.
Mr. Groth, your time is up.
The digital signs. Could I just show this one?
Your time is up, sir.
One
You
liquor
mentioned
store has
you'll be coming back, so
56 signs. That's phenomenal.
you want to. Okay, thank you. I just want to remind you that you left some paper there if you want to retrieve it. Thank you. All right, Tracy Dewey, please, followed by Jill Thames or Thames.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, citizens, ICS representatives. I want to thank each and every one of you here tonight to listen to me for the next 3 minutes. I am a former representative of the Welchester Daniels Garden HOA, Homeowners Association. I'm a mother, and I'm a concerned citizen. Why? Because the concentration of correctional facilities in our neighborhood is too much. It is too much. I understand that the staff members of ICS are caring. They have to be. If they're going to be working in that environment, they're very caring. And I commend you. But that does not mean I want 400 felons living in my neighborhood. We already have 150. I understand there's a breakout. 150, 250 equals 400. I live on the corner of 12th and Sims. I see on a daily basis the current women who live in the correctional facility walking up and down the road, standing at the bus stop, where my children, your children, our children will be riding their bikes, taking walks with the dog, or even getting on those buses. I am also there to see the condoms, the rubber gloves, yes, the paraphernalia that did not exist 2 years ago in the parks that we walk our dogs and our children play. This is only with 150 people. What's going to happen with 250 more people? You say, as a city, could you put on the screen? Oops.
Turn it around. Yeah, there you go.
I got a point to here. You say that you want to foster an attractive city. You tell me what businesses and what families will rightfully move into an area that is known to have 400 felons, of whom some may be sex offenders, some may be alcoholics and drug addicts that are recovering, but everybody has a fall once or twice, and it does not need to be in our neighborhood, especially when there's already a facility that houses these people and works well and is outside a community of families from 2 years old or even in the womb to 90-something years old. That's the makeup of my block on 12th Avenue, which is smack in the middle of the two facilities. I just ask you to consider saying no to adding more facilities and maybe bringing in some different types of facilities that will indeed better the neighborhood. Thank you.
Jill Thames or Tim, sorry, and then Mildred Floyd.
It is Jill Thames, even though technically it would be Thames, but we're American, so we pronounce it Thames.
Thinking of the river, sorry.
Absolutely, quite all right. Thank you all for allowing us to speak, because you are the guardians of the land use. I was a prosecutor for 24 years before moving here 3 years ago. I was, in the last 6 years, in the cold case homicide division. I was the assistant chief for the family protection. My specialty was prosecuting child molesters. And quite honestly, my personal experience, having been on committees with probation, being on the Child Fatality Committee in San Diego, is ICS is vital. It's vital. The key is, where do you place it? I went to the location. I looked in the neighborhood. This is not the location. It won't personally affect me. My home that we just built in that Welchester area is far enough away. But I do know from personal and professional experience, this is not a wise decision because they will travel the buses. Being in that neighborhood, There are so many children walking unattended. I have personally prosecuted molesters who go on buses looking for unattended children, who go through the neighborhoods. When you have a halfway house, you're not just inviting them to that area, you're requiring them to live in that area. That's where the halfway house is, whether they be clients or whatever. And many will succeed, many will not. The best location for these facilities is near law enforcement facilities. In other words, you put them near the sheriff's departments. Otherwise, you are putting, in a way, an attractive nuisance in front of a criminal. Because, quite honestly, they're not simply clients. They have broken the law. And some of them will most definitely reoffend. On the personal level, my father opened a business right near a similar facility, and he was burglarized, his business, twice within the first 6 months, and the law enforcement was the one who told us, sorry, once this opened up, all of the crime rose. And while the property values, if you measure it over a finite period of time, might not look like it has been harmed, if you compare it to neighborhoods that don't have these facilities, you will note their property values increase at a far greater rate. I just would like you are the guardians. You are it. That's why we're here. And we're trusting you to hear our voices. We know these are needed, and we need people like you. I have hired people with those issues. I know a lot of people can be salvaged, but you don't put them in these areas. It's not wise. Thank you.
Thank you. Mildred Floyd, followed by John Elrod, I think. Welch Street. Okay, Mr. Elrod, followed by Rich Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm like other folks here that have been in this area my wife went to Welchester, her parents grew up here, she did, they played in the creeks. Had a lot of vested interest here. My kids grew up here. Earlier this evening, there was a lot of praise on sustainability. And my question when I was listening to this is, has this area gone to a point where it's not worth bringing sustainability back? Because this facility, the good, bad, and the indifferent to it, will create an area, a lot of people have called it a pocket, of attracting more of like kind. You know, birds of a feather flock together is the old adage. You do specifically have the ability to change this around a little bit. Why build a new facility when they can repair the one that's there? It's already established, the neighborhood already accepts it. The area around it is as it was probably 20 or 30 years ago. I did a little bit of history. It hasn't changed a whole lot. Putting this facility here is going to change this neighborhood, i.e. that location a lot. I'm thinking to myself, 6th Avenue heading west, the Mills, what a great place to build an area that's going to be more attracting traffic from downtown Denver and bringing them out to Lakewood. Tax dollars, that'll be a wonderful thing for everybody. So that's basically what I was thinking about. It's not a good place to put it. There's viable other solutions to that area that will be better sustained in the long run, because this, I don't know, I just kind of personally don't think it's going to kill us, but it's not going to help us by any means. You know, what can you say? So I thank you for your time.
And thank you, and those might be questions for the county when that time comes. Rick Johnson, followed by Ross Thorsheim.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm a builder and developer, and I've been building and developing west of the facility around Welchester Park for the last about 15 years. We put some pretty nice homes in there. We started, homes were selling, we were building homes around $400,000, and last one I built there was in 07, and I sold it for $1,350,000. So we really upgraded the neighborhood. I've got a new project on just off of Welsh Street on West 8th Place. patio homes, and there'll be 3 large single-family sites in there. We've worked very hard at trying to bring these neighborhoods up. In the current neighborhood that I'm working in right now, I had to call the police out there a number of times. We busted a couple of drug rings that were operating in there, and we've really tried to clean the neighborhoods up. And people have come up to me and just thanked me for making it better. This is what is being suggested to put in the area is not helping us. I think, and I guess the one question I would say to everybody, ask yourself, if this was your neighborhood and a facility like this was being placed there, would you want it? I don't think you would. It really works against everything that we've tried to accomplish over the last 15 years. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Thorsheim, followed by April Miller.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Rob Thorsheim. I've lived in the Daniels-Welchester area for 59 years, and my father formed the parks, Daniels Park, and that was taken over by Lakewood. I'm American Institute of Certified Planners, and I was a former current planning manager for the City of Thornton. So I'm familiar with specific use permits, and I'm familiar that it's a design review function for Planning Commission to look at things like configuration and layout of a McDonald's parking lot. Or in Aurora, it's the color band of tile over a Taco Bell. And I think you'll see tonight that there's a lot of people very concerned about this that find this to be a very substantial decision. So I'm confused. I do think the City Council works on things like economic development. I think the Gallagher Amendment and sales tax is fundamentally important to you. I think that's why you annexed the Mills Mall. I think that you're concerned about quality jobs. So the 8th Avenue corridor is an area where you can have, it's zoned CR, regional commercial, and a special use permit with 4 criteria regarding height, screening of trash enclosures, and 3 design issues are items Planning Commission are looking at. There's one about compatibility, but what I would encourage you is that you should be looking at regional commercial, sales tax in this area, and what this will do to that function, and quality jobs. Tarumo, you've spent a lot of time developing that, closing roads and making a campus. Will you get another one on some of this available property in this area if you put in 2 correctional facilities so close together? So I would encourage you to think about how you could get involved with this, because it's a fairly substantial decision. Thank you.
Thank you. April Miller, followed by Earl Castning, followed by McCaw, it looks like. Welcome, April.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I've lived in the neighborhood for 39 years, and we're very proud of our neighborhood, and we're very concerned that this facility would have a large impact on our neighborhood in the safety and property values. From what I've heard the proponents say that the facility is working well where it is, so I don't know why it's necessary to move it to our neighborhood. I believe a much better location would be close to the Sheriff's Department. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and glad that you are willing to listen to your public, and appreciate the fact that you will send our emails, snail mails, phone calls onto the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thanks. Earl, followed by Kate Williford, followed by... Oh, yeah, sorry. have somebody keeping track, thank God, to the left here. Followed by Randolph McCaw. Followed by Kate Williford. Welcome.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you. My name's Earl Castning, and I was with West Metro Fire Department for my career. I'd just like to speak and say in regards to the call load this is going to add to Station 2, which also already runs 3,700 calls. But with the history of Station 1 dealing with the current location, they're running about 250 runs a year on the old facility, or current facility, of which 200 of them are medical, which they cannot be transported other than by our equipment, and in combative situations, which are quite frequent. An officer has to accompany also with the ambulance rig. And as they're speaking about trivial problems like smoking in non-smoking areas and stuff, that's treated as a regular alarm, just as it would be being your house or your business or anything else. That takes 5 apparatus will respond for this smoking thing or whatever little minor thing they call it, and taking 14 people to operate that equipment. That will be out of service until this equipment is cleared, leaving the rest of the neighborhood vulnerable when they make a call for an assistance for medical or fire alarm. The equipment would have to come from second in or third in areas. Transporting one of these patients is easily an hour. Not an hour in the unit, but an hour before they're back in service, back ready to serve Engine 2's community. I think that you should seriously consider this, of which none of these people contribute to this neighborhood, and it's taking away the services that the rest of the community is paying for and expects. Thank you.
Thanks. Randolph McCaw, followed by Kate Williford, followed by Keith or Tara Larwick. Is Mr. McCaw here? No. All right. How about Kate Williford? No? All right. Keith Larwick? All right. Steve Lyman? Hey.
Hello, my name is Keith Larwick. I want to thank the mayor and the council for letting me speak. I'm going to try and jump to a little different subject here, because I sent my daughter to Lakewood seminar on leadership and planning and zoning, and she kind of taught me a few things too. And one thing that I've learned is that if you live in a neighborhood, you can watch its development. I've watched the commercial creep that started about 4 or 5 years ago, and if you look at the area, and it's not the institution that really is what you guys should be concerned about. It's what's happening in the area. If you look at the area, you have a new hospital, you have a community college that's grown tremendously, you have a new light rail system, you have all these commercial things that are going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years. Now, if you're looking at long-term employment or professional development in medical or anything that's going to happen along the Sims Union Corridor, what I learned when I took economics, regional economics, is if you put your finger on a map and you draw a 1 mile or a 2 mile circle around it, and you ask yourself, is more money coming in than going out? The second question, is it more stable money than what has been there? If you look at this area and you draw a 2 mile circle around it, you will find the tech center, you'll find the college at the mines, you'll find the Red Rocks, you'll find all these medical buildings, you have a new bank that's being built over here on Colfax, you have a development that you're trying to build around the whole area of Colfax. If you're going to put an institution like this, 250 in that area, it's going to back up the development along that corridor probably 5 or 10 years. It'll get built in 2 or 3, and 5 or 10 years from now, you'll be really regretting that you put in something that's going to limit your economic development along that corridor. Now, right now, it's bordered against the county, and when you look at it, it's kind of iffy over who's really controlling that area. If you look at the one side, over on the other side of Welch, it's got a small school. It's got the Welch City Park, Daniels Park. It's kind of rural in its makeup, okay? Well, the reason it's rural in its makeup is the development has always been slow over there. If you look at it, you got Consolidated Waters, you got Daniels, or the source. Everything is private over in that area. It's always been kind of the leftover. Your leftover has already limited development in that area. Now you're going to take and put a correctional institute in there, and that's not good long-term planning at all, because in 5 years or 10 years, you're going to regret ever doing this. And that's what you leaders have to do, is look out 20 years and put your planning and zoning in those places. Thanks.
Thanks. All right, Steve Lyman, followed by Matthew. I'm sorry, starts with a D, 12086 West 7th.
I'm Steve Lyman. I own a house with my wife in Mountain View Estates, and we just found out about this, that they wanted to put in the correctional facility, and it's just shocking why they would want to do that. There's children everywhere. All these streets, there's children everywhere. There's children waiting for the bus just right across. You could throw a rock and hit where they want to put it in. I don't understand this. Like, nobody put anybody thought into this before they did it. And they say, well, these people aren't going to be bad for you. You know, they're not doing, everybody's made mistakes. Yeah, I've made mistakes. I haven't made mistakes that land me in prison, And they've proven that that they're willing to do bad stuff. And that's scary. And I'm going to have to move now because we've got one kid that's almost a year old. We got another one on the way. We've worked hard on our house, just like a lot of people in the area. It's middle class. We all work hard. We try and keep our places nice, our lawns nice. And I don't understand why they'd want to do that. There's so many children. I mean, who wants to have people come to their house and go, oh, don't pick up hitchhikers. It's a correctional facility around here. We saw places like that when we were looking for houses to buy, and we kept on moving because we don't want to live in a place like that. I don't understand. It's pathetic. It's cripple-minded, and I hope somebody gets their shit together. Thanks.
Thanks. Matthew? Okay, followed by... right. I said followed by. Yeah, Diliberto. All right, Matthew. Matthew, you're next. Just tell me your last name. All right, cool.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, thank you for allowing me to speak to you today. I am one of the homeowners that is very close to the proposed facility for the men's correctional facility. I have 2 young daughters, ages 2 and 4, and I understand that these facilities are needed and that they're good, that they help people. But all it takes is one guy to revert back to his old habits, to his old ways, and it could scar my little girls for the rest of their lives. If this is put through, I will be moving, and I know a lot of other people will as well. Please intervene in this. Thank you.
Mr. Reese, followed by Rick Tate, followed by Steve Cheney.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you very much. My name is Matthew Reese. I'm a business owner at 445 Union Boulevard, which is right across from the Sheraton and only 2 minutes away from the proposed ICCS facility. I'm going to make this short and sweet by sharing with you a quick story as to why not only my employees, but my business as a whole is strongly urging the Lakewood Planning Commission and everyone here to vote no, or at least to figure out any way in your magic to get this off of the On March 5th, 2013, and this is a real statistic, by the way, I walked into my office, which was a crime scene. One of my fellow tenants in our office building, Claudia Miller, a 66-year-old family law attorney, was found murdered in her office just one floor above mine. She was sexually assaulted and strangled to death. I say this because a man by the name of Warren Watson was later charged in Jefferson County just 2 weeks after his February 19 release from prison on discretionary parole, meaning the parole board voted to release him from his prison sentence early. Records show that the parole board rated him as being at low risk for new crime despite a new record, or a record that included 3 escapes from community correction centers, also known as Camp George West, a walk away from a Colorado correctional center, and his absconding from earlier paroles in Colorado and Ohio. Still, the board recommended Watson for intensive supervision parole for 180 days at the parole officer's discretion, although he was never placed on ISP. You can only imagine the look of horror on my employees' faces when they learned of the city's plans. I ask you, I beg you, to not let this go through. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Rick Tate, followed by Steve Cheney, followed by James Paradise, followed by Bob Gordon, followed by Chad Scroggins. Rick left. Rick is from the Dent Clinic right there, according to this. Steve Cheney. All right. James Paradise. Bob Gordon Jr. Chad Scroggins. Okay. Continuing to go down the list. Gary Themo. Okay. Melanie Martin and Paul Martin. Sorry this is going on so long, and people had to leave. I understand that. James Nowakowski. We got one. Come on down. What'd you say? Oh, yeah, followed by. Thank you. It's audience participation in helping the mayor right now. That's not a bad thing. James Nowakowski and Louise, 815 Van Gordon. Welcome.
Hi, Mr. Mayor, Council, I appreciate your time. I'm James Nowakowski. Arlo Guthrie said he had, I don't know how many 8x10s with circles and arrows and a paragraph in the back of each one, but according to what I hear, that's not going to make any difference today. But I do have 2 to show everybody. Please? Sure. The red box shows a current JCRS towards the bottom. That's the Colfax on the very bottom of that red box. That's the crime statistics from the Lakewood Police Department called raids. It's not trivial by any means. That's the Welchester Daniel neighborhood. There's nothing there. We'd like to keep it that way. And I can't guarantee that that's going to happen if this facility moves in across the street. Let's make this pure and simple. These people are criminals. That's the only reason that they're in this facility. Half of these people, according to the facility's own numbers, are sex offenders. According to the facility's own statistics, we heard 17% walk away, simply walk away and have a bench warrant. Tonight they said 3% walk away. Out of that number, out of even 3%, statistically speaking, one of those people is going to be a child molester or a sex offender. And I simply have one question to the staff. Whose family do you want to sacrifice to be offended by that one person that gets away? That's my question to you. But that's not what I came here to ask you about. My question to you is, what do we have to do to change the way that the Planning Commission works so all of their decisions, or at least decisions having major community involvement go through this council. The Planning Commission are not professionals, they are volunteers. And I ask, I don't know if I have to make a motion, I don't know if I have to plant a seed, but my question to you is, what do I have to do to get in motion to change the way that the Planning Commission can approve these special use permits? I want that changed. Now, I think your term is up, isn't it correct, Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
How about a legacy? Why don't you personally, I'm asking you, personally take this under advisement, and because of the volatility that we're having here, take this and make it your legacy to change the way that the Planning Commission gets special use permits approved. That's my request of you. Thank you.
Sure. Fair enough. I'll respond to that. I actually started out my 21 years of public service on the Planning Commission, and the first case that I heard was a special use permit. And it was controversial, so controversial that it took 2 6-hour meetings, 2 Wednesday nights in a row, and we had to hold it in the Sheraton Hotel ballroom. That's how much interest was in it. So I understand that perspective. It was also the last time, 21 years ago, that there was a special use permit case that was this controversial. So just take that for what it's worth. In terms of your question about the process, we are happy, and I expect somebody on council to bring up tonight or tomorrow the issue of Planning Commission having discretion over special use permits for something of this nature, and we're happy to address it down the road. It's not, you can't change the rules in midstream for this application, but it's a very fair question, and it's something that I, for one, am happy to look at. All right, Louise, Stephen Chase. All right. Chris Stefini, Rick Nicoletti. Sorry, it's just kind of luck of the draw to get late here.
It's Daphne, but that's fine. Thank you for listening to me tonight. I've sat here and listened to people say those people. I'm one of those people. 20 years ago, I made a mistake. I went to prison late in my life. I have children. I have great-grandchildren. I'm not a danger to you. I'm a director of a nonprofit who helps these people get jobs. We're no different than anybody sitting on the council. We've all made mistakes. The fact is that we get to come back into the community that we fell from, Lakewood, for over half a century, and do some good stuff. We don't grow fangs at night and prey on children. Please, open your minds a little bit, okay? We are people just like everybody else, all of you all. We have made a mistake. We paid our dues, and you don't get to talk about us like we're trash, okay? I am a director. I have worked to get there. I have reached back. You guys need to open your hearts a little and realize that for the grace of God goes y'all. That's all I want to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Nicoletti's still here. I'm sorry I didn't do it. You and your wife were on 2 separate pages, I think, so I should have managed that a little better. Sorry.
Yeah, she filled me in at the bottom. That's why I'm last. I kind of questioned that, but my name is Rick Nicoletti. Your Honor, members of the council, I'm a practicing attorney. I've been practicing for 30 long years. Began my life in North Denver and migrated west, as many North Denver Italians have done, and found myself in the Daniels-Welchester neighborhood. About 25 years ago, I discovered the Daniels-Welchester HOA. It was dormant as a result of the Colorado Mills project and another project in the area. I de facto ended up resurrecting the homeowners association and being elected president. This isn't about me, this is about the process. As president of the Daniels Welchester Homeowners Association 25 years ago, I worked extensively with Greg Stevenson in making the Colorado Mills Shopping Center an area that did not invade our neighborhood. It is sealed off. Whiteacre Road does not go through. There's a reason for that. Mr. Stevenson involved the Daniels Welchester Homeowners Association in many, many meetings. He gave us notice. No one got notice. I didn't know, coming here tonight, you all could not make a decision. I didn't know that. The Planning Commission's going to make this decision. Why weren't we notified, first of all, about the project long in advance, far further than 300 feet? My God, 300 feet's that back door. The lack of notice is astounding. Our country is based on due process. The Constitution of the United States, Mr. Cox, and the state of Colorado. Due process, the Fifth Amendment and the 14th Amendment. What does that mean? Nobody knows what that means. It's simple. Notice and an opportunity to be heard. Google it. Due process. Notice, opportunity to be heard. That's all we want. I could stand here and tell you about how my garage has been broken into twice out of the 3 times my kids accidentally left the door open. Now, how does that happen? Somebody's got to be prowling. The odds are against that. But I'm not here about the substance of how badly this is going to affect our neighborhood. I'm here about the process. Please, please don't tell us there's a tentative meeting. Tentative? What the hell does that mean? Is there going to be a meeting or not, guys? Where's it going to be? What time? And will a decision be made, and will we be allowed to be heard? No one knew tonight nothing would happen. You've reminded us several times, Your Honor, that you can't do anything, that you'll listen to us, you'll appease us, but we're wasting our time. Can you folks do something on the process side? I'm sure you've got the power.
Mr. Nicoletti, your time is up.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much. I think you get the point.
We do. Thanks. All right. Anyone else? That exhausts all the names that indicated a desire to speak by signing up. All right, I'll close public comment. And, pardon me? Well, come on down then. That's why I asked. If you could identify yourself, your name and address.
Yes, sir. My name is Neil Nelson. I live on 8th and Van Gordon Court. I was never notified of this anything going on about this facility coming in to our neighborhood. First of all, I'd like to take offense with the lady with the ponytail that said people who live on the west side, we're voicing our opinion, it doesn't affect us, it's got nothing to do with us. Excuse me, it's got everything to do with us. Everybody that lives from Sims to Denver West, from 6th Avenue to Colfax, it involves all of us. So as far as her to sit there and paint that they're putting in a Disneyland for us, I really take offense to that, because these people are the way they are. You're asking them to change their colors. Don't be a sexual predator. Don't be a child molester. That's like asking a gay person to be straight, heterosexual to be gay. They are who they are and what they are. And my problem is these people are not going to get on light rail. They're not going to get on the bus station because they got to go to Taj Mahal up here to go to court. They're going to go right down 8th Avenue, and that's where they're going to walk. And it's right by my neighborhood. I have a lot of friends and families and everything. And I think it's just very poor taste that anybody set up these meetings behind in the cloak of darkness. They didn't let none of us know. Another question, I've never heard anybody speak out except Miss Ramey Johnson saying, no, this is a bad idea. I'd like to know, all of you people, how do you stand on this? I'd like to hear from you folks. For the record, let your neighbors know. How do you guys feel? Are you for it?
That is a perfect segue. We're going to get to that.
Well, just real quick. I got 3 minutes.
We're going to get to that.
I got 3 minutes.
We're going
I'd
to
like
get.
to know real quick.
We're going to get to that.
A lot of us got to leave. We're up here late. We got to work tomorrow.
If you mentioned, sir, that you arrived late, and because of that, you did not hear the city attorney's instructions, and we're going to revisit that.
We do vote, and we are paying attention. And Ms. Johnson, my family is huge, and we've lived here in Lakewood a long time, and you're getting our vote. But thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to close public comment, and I'm going to turn to Mr. Nicoletti. I've said several times that the meeting is tentatively scheduled for September 2nd. It'll be 7 p.m. in these chambers. I use the word tentative, because things can change. They can in a process like this. But mark down September 2nd. I've tried to be crystal clear about that, and I've said it, as you mentioned, many, many times. I'm going to turn to Council President Karen Harrison for the first council comment. And Karen, like Councilor Quinn and myself, are former members of the Planning Commission. Karen is Council President and the most recent member of the Planning Commission, to talk a little bit about process. Karen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of different things that I wanted to remind Council about before any comments are made is the quasi-judicial status of this particular position for the Planning Commission. All of us have our own personal opinions, and we would be, I think, for us to turn around and say anything in this public forum about what we do, think, whatever, I think that's a bad message, because Planning Commission is actually who needs to make this decision, not us. Now, if you want to have a private conversation with somebody, you can do it, but not here, because it is quasi-judicial. So be very, very careful about what you do and how you do it. The other thing that I wanted to remind all of us on council is how qualified our planning commissioners are. We have an architect, we have a civil engineer, we have people who, commercial real estate person, I'm just doing this off the top of my head, people who work in the industry of real estate and understand much of what's going on. They were specifically, when we went through the screening process for the people who sit on Planning Commission, we looked at their qualifications, and we were looking for people who had the day-to-day 8 to 5 expertise to be able to look at zoning and planning changes in a manner that really gives us the advantage of having professionals doing that, not just volunteers. So the people that sit on Planning Commission, yes, they are volunteers, but they're screened based on their abilities of what they do 8 to 5. So don't feel like, they're not qualified. They are very qualified. And even further, I want to make sure that council remembers each one of these planning commissioners we approved. We looked at their qualifications, and as screening committee came and brought that appointment to City Council, we voted and we approved them. So one of the things that I really think that we need to do is give Planning Commission a tip of the hat and let them do their job. They are qualified to make this decision. I think we need to be very careful about what we do and say, and remember that quasi-judicial is a very important thing that we have to do with this process. I think that there was comment made earlier about the process, and I think there are several people on council that would like to address process, but I think it's very important that everybody sitting that's watching TV tonight and also sitting in council chambers understands it's not right for this council to try today to make changes in that process. We have to do it with proper notice, with another hearing, et cetera, et cetera. So we can't make that change tonight. I just want you to hear that. I think there's plenty of discussion for future, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone especially council members, remember the quasi-judicial nature of this. Thank you.
So I think I mentioned a couple of times I've been doing this a long time, and I understand the very visceral feeling. I'm sorry. I've been doing this a long time, and I understand the very visceral feeling that you want your elected officials to state their position right now. I get that, and it comes up every time we have a rezoning case or a case like this. I'm going to give you a real world scenario as to why we should not do that. And okay, all right. I don't know. Do you want to listen to me or not? Oh, okay. All right. Then the rest of you can. So, what we want to be very thoughtful about is giving the impression of that City Council is trying to unduly influence the Planning Commission, the deciding body. And you got to think about this no matter what side you're on. So let's just say that somebody on City Council says they favor this project, and the Planning Commission approves it. You all have all of a sudden have a pretty good reason, a stronger case on appeal. I mean, you got something to talk about on appeal. Now let's look at it the other way. Let's say somebody up here says they're dead set against it, and the Planning Commission turns it down. Now the applicant has something to use on appeal, right? So we have to be thoughtful and protect the neutrality of the case. That's the reason for quasi-judicial. It's trying to protect both sides of this. You can call that politics. I call it law. So please understand that. All right, Ramey.
Thank you. Well, we've heard some profound testimony tonight. And Karen, you've been looking right at me regarding quasi-judicial, and I'd like to respond to you directly. I have told people on a personal level I do not support this. I have not said it from the dais until right now. Okay. This is a situation in the ward that I represent, and it's serious. It has very long-term consequences. I take it very seriously as an elected official that you listen to the collective wisdom of the people that you represent. I am hoping at some time more questions will be asked. Tonight's brought me to be thinking of more questions. Things like, who is buying the properties? What are their assessed values? And what are the buying prices? And that's all I'm going to say. Oh, I did approach Karen about a week ago to have language regarding addressing severe situations like this when the planning committee looks at situations that have very important impacts, to get language. I asked you a week ago. I just want you to know that it's been out there, the question's been asked, and there was nothing done.
Excuse me, but there was. But let's not do dirty laundry here, Ramey. Okay.
It wasn't told to me. The memo I got today said there was nothing done.
You can't just change rules in the middle of the game. This is.
I don't mean for this. I mean for down the road.
Oh, I'm glad you clarified.
We need to look at language for down the road. I'm not.
I believe I said that we're going to look at that. All right.
I
Adam.
already did, and nothing happened. That's the
You just
point.
heard me talking about it. Adam.
Thank you, Mayor. And I would echo at the 4 o'clock meeting today, there was also conversation to take a look at this process, because there's been multiple people on council that want to have a better understanding and see how this can be changed. So it is in the works. It wasn't done like that because, as you can imagine, there's a lot to it. But I want to really just take the time to thank everybody who came out tonight to be a part of this. It's a tough conversation. on both sides, on all sides. Miss Miller's son was a classmate of mine, and it was a tragic situation. So we understand, and what I do have faith in this system. And like my colleagues said, the Planning Commission, while they're not elected, they are a professional group that is your neighbors as well. These folks live in your neighborhood. So I believe that we need to let this process take place and have faith in it. And I anticipate that you'll have a chance to have a thorough conversation with those folks when that time comes. And again, just thank you.
The floor is closed, sir. Sir, the floor is closed. The floor is closed. Councilor Kellen.
All
right.
I wasn't quite done. So I think to a comment that's out there, you have a whole body here listening. You have a planning commission that's going to listen, and you have a board of county commissioners that are all in tune with this process. And it's a process that just wasn't spun overnight. It has been something that has had a lot of different phases, and yet this is another phase. And I would just say continue to be active and tune in for the September 2nd due process notice, and there'll be time to testify. Due process will happen. And I wanted to just touch on one other thing. Do you want me to come back? It's off this subject. If Karen's going to stay on it, I'll wait.
I'm on subject.
All right. Same subject, Karen? All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment. I also represent this area of Lakewood, and as many of you who know me, you know I have very strong opinions on things, and I'm not usually shy about voicing them, and I would like nothing more than to voice my opinion right now and the reasons for it. But I'm also a lawyer, and I understand that in these processes, I don't want to be the reason, I don't want to be the cause of either side having a basis to overturn whatever decision happens. And so as a result, I will not be expressing an opinion here tonight. But I do want to thank everyone for coming up, because it was, you know, nobody wants community corrections in their neighborhood. Nobody does. And so it's, I get where you're coming from. And I appreciate you being involved, and I hope that you will stay involved and keep watching and see what's going on in Lakewood and continue to voice your opinions, because we really want to hear from you. So I'm going to stop there, because otherwise I'm going to say something that I shouldn't say. Thank you.
So we'll take it offline, all right, after the meeting. I know Adam wants to talk about something else. I do want to remind everyone that we are all members of the community, and we live in neighborhoods. We don't live in some ivory tower. And if I could finish, I would appreciate it. So I live in Ward 2. There's a fair amount of facilities like this. I live in a neighborhood. I lived a block from a place called Senecor for 30 years in my neighborhood. Literally, 5 houses down from my street. Senecor was a drug and alcohol rehab center with some pretty serious folks in there. So we understand your concerns. I've lived with it. So please, I hope nobody thinks that we're just insulated from the community. We're not. We get it. But we also have to be responsible. That's all that this is about. All right, Adam, another topic.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on another comment that came at public comment tonight that had to do with single trash haulers in the city of Lakewood. It's become a hot topic because it's been perpetuated that the city of Lakewood is somehow moving to a single hauler trash system. It's unfortunate. I think you have to question, why would somebody want to perpetuate that kind of rumor? Why would they want to be disingenuous or dishonest to the citizenry? And so, having taken part of both the sustainability plan and the comprehensive plan, as well as many folks in this room, as well as hundreds of different agencies or folks throughout the community. I'd like anybody on council to show me in one of these documents where it says that the city of Lakewood is going to have single hauler trash. Please educate me and show me.
Because we're not.
So that's the answer. It's not going to happen. The city of Lakewood is not going to single hauler trash. And when you hear that, it's garbage.
Oh, man. Guy's been waiting all night to pull that one out. Not bad, though. Not bad. All right. Look, let's move on. You know what? We have more to do tonight. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Will the clerk please read items of the consent agenda into the record?
The consent agenda consists of items 6 and 7. Item 6, approving minutes of the regular City Council meeting of June 22nd and July 13th, 2015. Item 7, accepting the minutes of the Advisory Commission for an Inclusive Communities full commission meeting of June 17th, their Executive Commission meeting of June 3rd, both 2015.
All right, I'm ready for a motion on the consent agenda.
Mayor Murphy, I move to approve all the council minutes for acceptance of the minutes of the boards and commissions, all of which are included in the consent agenda items introduced into the record by the city clerk.
All right. Second. Sorry. He voted before he seconded, and I was about to do the same thing. Please cast your votes on the consent agenda. Ms. Kellen and Mr. Quinn. All right, consent agenda passes 10-0. There are no ordinances on second reading tonight. Any general business, Margie?
None.
No? No executive report? Okay, Mayor and City Council reports. Man, I've done enough talking tonight. I'm just going to say no. Did I have anything? No. All right.
No.
Pete? Tom?
No report.
Sorry. Tom?
That's okay. Very briefly, in a moment of humor, I hope. I wore this moose tie tonight for a very special reason. I meant to do this closer to when it actually happened. Back in June, we had 2 moose actually stray into Lakewood from the mountains. And it was quite an unusual event. So I'm wearing this tie in their honor. They were safely captured by the Division of Wildlife and returned to some lovely meadow in the mountains. So we hope they'll not stray in here soon, although we certainly enjoyed seeing them. So anyway, just a moment of humor. Thank you.
Priceless. Dave?
Help me, Kathy. I'm trying to do my memory here. I believe we have a meeting this Wednesday, the 29th. The Corps of the Army National Guard is going to have a meeting for anybody who's interested about potential hazards up in Green Mountain. Can you elaborate for people?
Not very well. Let's see. So munitions, so this is the Corps of Engineers who are holding a meeting, and I'm quickly looking for it.
It's at Red Rocks College, the community room, and I want to say the 29th. I'm doing it off the top of my head. Wednesday from 6 to 8. Okay, all right.
All right. Let the record show that the reporter in the room had the right information.
Yeah, I'm sorry to put you on. I'm just drawing a blank.
Very good.
Thank you.
Ramey. All right. Karen Shakti. 9:55. We're adjourned. Thank you all very much for coming out, sticking with us.